Sejen. You're watching New Vision TV News. We are coming to you from the New Vision newsroom. We start with the news around Uganda, where we look at stories making headlines across the country. Starting off the bulletin, a story from Kaberamaido district, where Karaki sub-county offices in Kaberamaido have been burnt by unknown people. The district police commander, Godfrey Abigaba, said a regional fire brigade rushed to the scene, but it was too late. 5 people have been arrested to help in the investigations, according to Abigaba. Abigaba said their investigations show it was not done by one person, but could have been done by many people. He also said the door was not burnt, but the arsonists entered through it after opening the padlock. Abigaba said there were 2 leads in their investigations: a group of people fighting the sub-county chief, Stella Esegu, accusing her of misusing funds, and the staff themselves who could have wanted to destroy some evidence. Let's move on to Chikube district. Now, during his flight over Bugoma forest in Chikube district, President Museveni was unhappy by the degradation of the forest. While addressing a press conference at the Stott Lodge in Masindi town on Wednesday night, he said such degradation should stop. Finance Minister Matia Kasaija had also mentioned the same, saying forest reserve is being cleared by Hoima Sugar Factory to level ground for sugar cane growing. The forest sits on 40,000 hectares of land and is a sanctuary for chimpanzees and part of the catchment of River Semliki and Lake Albert. Hoima Sugar Limited was stopped from opening the forest after it had cleared the hectare on May 1st, and anti-riot police remained deployed at Nzozi village in Changwali sub-county in Chikube district. The forest is managed by NFA as Mohanga Zima Forest, but Masindi High Court recently declared that 8,000 hectares belong to the Omukama of Bunyoro Solomon Gafausa Iguru. Now, the kingdom, shortly after obtaining a freehold title in 2016, leased the land to Hoima Sugar Limited. NFA petition court saying titling part of Bugoma was illegal but lost the case. Kasaija, who asked for the intervention by the president in the matter, said it is only recently that he found out that part of the reserve is under NFA while some part is under the Bunyoro Kingdom. The kingdom leased 22 square miles to Hoima Sugar, and it's currently being cleared. Museveni ordered people who had encroached on different natural resources to vacate peacefully before they are forcefully evicted. News from Amlata district. Now, the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee PAC has faulted Amlata district leadership for failure to account for 677 million shillings. The money was meant for the road fund in the 2017-2018 fiscal year. According to the audit report, the district has only recovered 46.5 million shillings of the total money disbursed. The committee noted that Uganda Road Fund and the Youth Livelihood Program were the most abused funds. Engineer Robert Okidi, caretaker engineer, told the committee that some officers had been locked up recently and some officers had been interdicted by the Anti-Corruption Court. The committee, chaired by Clark South MP Gilbert Olanya, noted that the leadership did not have the relevant documents supporting the expenditure. He ruled that they go back and return when they are ready to submit them to the Auditor General by the end of the week. Let's close the news around Uganda from Kole district, where Aboke High School, a government-aided school in Kole district, is likely known to be reopened for the 2nd time if government does not respond quickly. This is after the school was destroyed by a heavy downpour and a hailstorm. The school lost property worth 2 billion shillings, according to Joel Okello, the head teacher. The students were sent home after the April 23rd downpour. In an emergency meeting held at the school on Wednesday, it was noted that money for construction, renovation and rehabilitation of classrooms, dormitories and buying other office essentials destroyed was needed and was too much for the district to raise. According to Okello, the heavy rain destroyed several buildings comprised of 3-roomed dormitories, for girls, 4-roomed blocks for boys dormitory, 10 classrooms and computer classroom blocks, including 16 computers. 8 houses from the staff quarters had their roofs blown off and 4 walls brought down. Now the population of 206 students, Aboke High School is one of the old schools in the district, having been established 62 years ago. The parents who attended the emergency meeting resolved to contribute 15,000 shillings per child. That is it for the news around Uganda. Let us now take a look at the news around East Africa and around the world. We start with the news around East Africa. From Tanzania, the government of Tanzania informs all travelers planning to visit the country that from June 1st, all plastic carrier bags, regardless of the thickness, will be prohibited from being imported, exported, manufactured, sold, stored, and supplied in Tanzania. Moving on to Kenya. Kenya has sold 210 billion shillings Eurobond, the third in 5 years, despite raising concern over its ability to service its debt burden. The National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich says in a statement dated May 15th that the issuance triggered an overwhelming response from investors, leading to an oversubscription of 4.5 tons. Coming back to Uganda, Dr. Margaret Bukenya, a wife to former Vice President Professor Gilbert Bukenya, has filed for divorce. Through her lawyers, Logmark and co-advocates, she accuses Bukenya of adultery. Now, Bukenya and Margaret wedded on September 21st, 1974 at St. Augustine's Chapel in Makerere University. They lived in Mulago and Mebo, where they both worked as physicians. Now, the two have 3 children: Richard Mutawonga Bukenya, 45 years, Georgina Bukenya, 42 years, and Gilbert Roy Bukenya Kamoga, 37 years. Let's close the news around East Africa from Southeast Sudan, where South Sudanese President Salva Kiir on Wednesday warned against planned protests, saying any forceful attempts to seize power in the country would be met by violent resistance. In the past 2 weeks, a new group calling itself the Red Card Movement has been circulating calls online for a protest on Thursday with the hashtags Kiir Must Go and South Sudan Uprising, with organizers appealing to be based mostly in the diaspora. The movement appears to be inspired by street protests in neighboring Sudan, which led to the toppling of veteran President Omar al-Bashir. Let's move on now to the news around the world. We start from Hong Kong, where prominent Hong Kong student leader Joshua Wong was sent back to prison Thursday after he lost an attempt to squash a jail sentence over his leadership of huge democracy protests 5 years ago. Wong, 22 years, became one of the most recognizable faces of the umbrella movement in 2014, which paralyzed key intersections of the financial hub for more than 2 months. Protesters were demanding a greater say in how the city is run, including the right for Hong Kongers to directly elect the city leader. In Philippines, now the Philippines has called its ambassador to Canada. Manila's foreign minister said Thursday in an escalation of a festering diplomatic row over tons of trash dumped in the Southeast Asian nation. Ties have been deteriorating since a Canadian company sent around 100 shipping containers that included rotting rubbish wrongly labeled as recyclables to Philippines ports in 2013 and 2014. In Sri Lanka, troops and police patrolled parts of Sri Lanka on Thursday as international pressure mounted on Colombo to contain anti-Muslim riots that killed one man in a backlash against the Easter terror attacks. Military spokesman Smothi Atapatu said that there were no incidents of violence in the 24-hour ending Thursday morning, but police and security forces continue to carry out such operations. In Venezuela, representatives of Venezuela's regime and the opposition are holding peace negotiations in Oslo this week. Venezuela has been in political turmoil since Assembly Speaker Juan Guaido declared himself acting president in January in a direct challenge to President Nicolas Maduro's authority. News from India. India's election watchdog says it has forced Facebook, Twitter and YouTube to take down hundreds of posts, including a country's election, but experts say it is just a drop in an ocean of misinformation that has engulfed voters. The ruling Hindu nationalist Bharatiya Janata Party and opposition Congress Party have thrown armies of cyber warriors into a bitter social media war for the 6 weeks of voting that ends on Sunday. We close the news around the world from Sudan, where Sudanese military rulers on Thursday suspended crucial talks with protesters on installing civilian rule, insisting more time was needed to finalize the deal as Khartoum's security situation deteriorated. On Wednesday, army generals and protest leaders were expected to decide on the makeup of a new body to govern Sudan for 3 years. The enthroned issue is instating civilian rule following the ouster of longtime autocrat Omar al-Bashir last month. That is it for the news around East Africa and around the world. Let us now take a look at the news in the pullouts that come out in the New Vision on Friday. There is the Harvest Money pullout and also the Beat. Harvest Money pullout says in Serco milking millions from cows, and also you have government invest in irrigation. Remember, Harvest Money is your solution to farming, so get much more farming skills and stories from the Harvest Money pullout. Moving on to the Beat says appeal Uganda's new soul queen, and then we have a little bit of good news from Kalunji Kabuye and much more in the entertainment world from the Beat. So get your copy on Friday and enjoy the New Vision. Away from the pullouts that come out every Friday, let's take a look at some sports news. It will be a moment of tension and drama as the Star Times FUFA Big League playoffs get underway at Lugogo. Chetume, who failed to live to their expectations last season, have a chance to redeem themselves when they face Doves in the first match at Lugogo. The experience in both the technical team and a play staff gives them an advantage, although a playoff is really hard to determine. Doves, who qualified for the playoffs at the expense of Chiboga Young and Kitara FC, a surprise team to watch. Some international news now. Premier League champions of the Manchester City say they are saddened after being referred to the club financial control body, a judicatory chamber, following an investigation into financial fair play. UEFA opened an investigation into alleged financial irregularities at the club earlier this year, but City deny any wrongdoing and say the accusations are entirely false. Responding to the decision, a Manchester City club statement read, Manchester City Football Club is disappointed but regrettably not surprised by the sudden announcement of the referral to be made by the CFCBIC Chief Investigator Yves Litame. The links to media over last week are indicative of the process that has been overseen by Mr. Latame. Manchester City is entirely confident of a positive outcome when the matter is considered by an independent judicial body. The accusation of financial irregularities remains entirely false, and the CFCBIC referral ignores a comprehensive body of irrefutable evidence provided by Manchester City FC to the Chamber. The decision contains mistakes, misinterpretations, and confusions fundamentally born out of a basic lack of due process, and there remain significant unresolved matters raised by Manchester City FC as part of what the club has found to be a wholly unsatisfactory, curtailed, and hostile process. That is it for sports news. Now, in our Daily Pearl of Africa series, we look at the legend River Seziwa. This relatively small river is found in the southern central part of Uganda, particularly Bugoma district. In a drive of about 40 minutes from Kampala, one can get to this river. Now, this waterfall, known as Seziwa Falls, has various activities one can engage in, and some of them include camping, bird watching, rock climbing, and so much more. Let's take a look.
Uganda is endowed with so many features, and Seziwa Falls joins the list of so many of them. When you make a stop at Seziwa Falls, it's a must-recorded visit in your travel diary. The experience, the atmosphere, the nature, the water, the river, the sounds, the birds, and the rocks are among the so many unique features you would love to record in your diary. Seziwa Falls has an origin. On River Seziwa stems these falls. This river is relatively small and it is found in the southern central part of Uganda, particularly in Bugoma district. It has a total of about 150 kilometers from the source to the end. The river's origin is quite interesting. It is connected to the Uganda culture, and the story behind it is that it was born by a Muganda woman named Nankungu Tebatusa, whose husband was in Subuga Sebwato. As she made her way to Kavumabukunja, Nankungu gave birth to twins in form of water. One of the twins was River Seziwa. The name Seziwa is derived from a Luganda phrase, Siziwa Kubo, which is, "My path can never be blocked." It is further explained that the river's flow could not be stopped even with different obstacles it encountered along its 150 kilometers. And now we have a river. The other twin river is called Bwanda. From this river, then through the rocks, we have Seziwa Falls. The falls are 7 meters high. Water pushes through the rocks and flows down the bottom. As it touches the ground, it uses excessive force as it is seen splashing. From the cliff, it appears white, but as it settles, it joins a narrow path of brown water. And there it flows and enters Lake Choga in Kayunga district, near the town of Galilaya. The surroundings of Seziwa Falls are birds of various species, tall trees, pines, huts, and the greenest vegetation. This is a perfect definition of a beautiful scenery. The beautiful view is accompanied by the waterfall marked with sharp-edged rocks and splendid sound of waters flowing down the indented rocks. This brings enjoyment and relaxation as birds and monkeys sing and jump respectively from the surrounding rainforest. As much beauty is being processed, these red flowers just could not hide away from our sight, leading us to the very many exotic plants that find shelter in the surroundings of Sezibwa. This place is a hive of activities you definitely have to indulge in. First is the exploration of animals that keep hiding in the trees. Among them are the red-tailed monkeys and the velvet monkeys. Others are tree squirrels, Nile monitor lizards, green mambas, and horned adders. If you're good at bird watching, Sezibwa Falls is a place for you. Uganda has over 1,000 bird species. Sezibwa Falls area is among the so many places where you will find a number of birds. As you can see, most of the trees have been crowded with nests. Another interesting activity here is rock climbing. Cultural practices loom around this place. Some of the huts you see below are shrines where people come for worship and also perform cultural rituals. It is said that people camp here for days, depending on their requests to the gods. Many seek for blessings, while others for removal of curses. Other activities you could try are hiking, nature walks, and research on the vegetation. The several tree species here are used for medicinal purposes. Besides tourism activities, Sezibwa Falls is an educational center where students come to study about waterfalls and rock formation. The additional sightings are the sunset. This could best work for couples. With this setting, trust me, there are a number of promises you can make to each other. But these can be experienced after a 40-minute drive from Kampala to Kayanja in Buyukwe district, where Sezibwa Falls are situated.
For more Pearl of Africa stories, visit our website, which is newvision.co.ug/Pearl of Africa. Our newspaper, The Sunday Vision, is also another home of adventures. Grab your copy every Sunday for Pearl of Africa stories. Now let us take a look at what is making headlines in the business world with Lynn Komjisha in The Handshake.
Hello there, this is New Vision TV. My name is Lynn Komjisha and this is The Handshake. Now, before I can introduce my guest, logistics and transport industry leadership is pushing for self-regulation. I am wondering, self-regulation, who has been regulating them and what are they preparing for? They say it is, of course, preparation for the oil and gas sector. Allegedly, it is they are supposed to be, handling a lot of cargo. Well, I have with me Paul Busharizi. Yes, you know the guy. Paul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So these guys pushing, where have they been? What is pushing them? Who is regulating them? Why now?
Well, first of all, of course, talk about preparations for oil.
Yes.
In June this year, I think June this year is the deadline for what they call the signing of the final investment decision,
yes.
Something like that. So once that is signed, I think the government and the people, they can go back to their home countries and mobilize the finances for the things they have to do to get ready for oil in about 3 years' time. Now, they estimate that between $15 and $20 billion is going to be spent over the next 3 years.
Okay.
for Uganda, we have not had such economic activity in our lives. The magnitude is so big that there's no one who can do it alone. Like there's no freight forwarder in Uganda who can handle the whole oil industry alone.
Of course
we have very, very many small little guys.
Yes.
So that in order to maximize what they call local content, they're being encouraged to come together, upskill themselves and all that kind of business.
So they've been scattered?
Yeah, of course, they've just been scattered doing their own small little things. So now I think this is an effort to bring them together to create those synergies that they can at least get some work in the oil industry.
Oh, apart from that, what else are they targeting?
Well, as I said, first of all, they're associating, they're bringing themselves together. Then they're getting training. They're getting training which will improve their capacity to handle the oil industry. Because the oil industry, for example, if they want trucks, they don't go down here to the yard and say, I want 20 trucks come. No, there are certain standards that have to be met. So these freight forwarders are trying to improve their own capacities to handle. Yeah.
So how will this self-regulation help them as companies? Right now, who is regulating them?
That's a good question. I suspect it might be somebody in the Ministry of Transport and Works or something like that. But I think, you see, why many times people want to be self-regulated is because these industries are always changing.
Right.
And if you leave your regulation to a government entity which does not change as fast as the industry, you can get tied up. So I think that's why they're pushing for self-regulation. And if they are organized and they get into this big kind of association, why not? I mean, unless government wakes up and says, oh, no, we're the ones, they can regulate themselves.
Paul, the oil and gas sector is more of who is certified, who can handle what. Now, these people, these guys, are they looking at that? Because, Paul, we know people who work in the industry, in the transport industry, not many of them have attained a certain qualification.
So over the last week or two, they've been attending a training course of international freight organization course or something. Exactly. So they have trained trainers. They have trained trainers of trainers. Is it?
Oh boy.
No, they've trained trainers. So these trainers hopefully will then
also train others.
Will train others and stuff like that. So that's what they're trying to do. It's going to be a kind of international certification. Absolutely, which the oil industry requires of them.
And how will this help the oil and gas?
Well, I think it's more how will it help local Ugandans?
Yes.
Because with that kind of certification and the improvement of their capacities and this coming together, they will be able to get some contracts. I mean, you're talking about huge contracts. They told me that I think at the peak of this 3-year period before oil comes, you're going to need 2,000 trucks. Is it 2,000 trucks or 200 trucks? I think
200,000.
No, 2,000. I think it's 200 trucks. You're going to need 200 trucks. Now, those are not just any trucks. They have to be certified. They have to be a certain age. You can't get a second-hand truck to move stuff around.
Wow.
But one of the big things about those things is you're going to need 3 drivers on those trucks, and these have to be internationally certified.
They have to be certified as well.
If you went around looking for even 100 international certified truck drivers in Uganda, you might not find. So there's all that capacity building, and this is just part of it.
And are we in any way? I mean, we've been talking about
we at the time we have first of all, initially, first oil was supposed to come out in 2009, which is 10 years ago. So I think in the last 10 years we've been working, and I think we are in a good place. We need to be better, but I think we're better off than if oil had come out in 2009. We'd have lost everything.
I'm really looking forward to that time. The oil starts, coming out.
The action is actually before the oil starts coming out. So these 3 years between now and the oil, that's really where big action is.
All right. Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lynn. In our special report today, now the road to middle income status seems clearer now that the country prepares to boost its industrial base with the production of buses. The buses, to be known as Kabandole, will ply the major roads of Greater Kampala.
There is a lot happening in Uganda recently that promises to lift the country from a developing to a middle-income status in years to come. Modern infrastructure projects, including roads and power stations, are bearing fruit, and now there is a car plant being completed in Jinja. This is where Ugandan-made motor vehicles will be rolled out in the near future. Besides the sedan, Kira Motors Corporation, KMC, the national company that is to commercialize the production of vehicles, is in the process of constructing 2 electric buses this year. The new electric buses will be used to support public transport in the country. The 60-seater buses will mainly operate on the Entebbe Express Highway, where 2 charging points will be established at Abaita Ababiri in Entebbe, Wakiso District, and Busega, also in Wakiso District. KMC is in discussions with the Uganda National Roads Authority, UNRA, about the setup of the charging points, which will work as filling stations. The rechargeable batteries of the buses can run for about 100 kilometers before they require charging. Initial bus operations will be used as a pilot to help the government plan how to spread the electric buses to other urban areas in the country. KMC has finalized the designs of the 2 buses, whose construction is supposed to kick off before the end of the current financial year 2018-2019. According to a plan, which is yet to be revealed, KMC will also embark on making famous double-deck buses, which are christened Kabandole, meaning let them see. Kabandole traversed Kampala and its suburbs. According to history, Kabandole buses started operations in the 1950s and disappeared in the early 1980s. Double-deck buses are common in Western capitals, including London, where the bus are the city's icon. Speaking to the New Vision newspaper, our sister platform, recently Paul Isaac Musaz, the Chief Executive Officer at KMC, confirmed the bus project. He said it is under development and part of KMC's roadmap. Musazi pointed out that electric buses are geared towards addressing public transport shortages, especially in the Kampala metropolitan area, which covers the districts of Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono. Construction works of the KMC workshop, where the buses and other vehicles will be built, has started. The construction works are being carried out by the National Enterprise Corporation, NEC Construction and Works. NEC is the business and commercial arm of the Defense Ministry and the Uganda People's Defense Forces, UPDF. Some of the completed facilities at the site include a 33 kV electricity line connecting the Kira vehicle plant site to the national electricity grid, a piped water system, and access roads. The vehicle plant will be ready by June 2021. According to NEC boss, Lieutenant General James Mugira, UPDF has trained its engineers, both locally and abroad, to handle the construction works. Over the years, they have built capacity and gradually started bidding for big contracts. Mugira said as part of the project scope, NEC will also construct the site's fence and gates, assembly shop, offices, storage areas for materials, overhead water reservoir, and a container yard. The construction works will also include a finished vehicle parkyard, a plant monument, power distribution, and water distribution. Other facilities include information and communication technologies network backbone, drainage, and a waste management system. Once complete, KMC is expected to open its assembly plant to other global vehicle manufacturing firms, which have service centers in the East African region. Musazi, the KMC CEO, is optimistic there will be technology transfer between KMC and other vehicle manufacturers who will be using the facility. In April 2018, Cabinet approved the roadmap of commercialization of the Kira electric vehicle EV project. The government allocated 100 acres of land at the Jinja Industrial and Business Park and a seed fund of 143.7 billion shillings for the project in the period of 4 years from the financial year 2018-2019 to 2021-2022. The fund will cover setting up and kick-starting the operations of the Kira vehicle plant. 24 billion shillings in the financial year 2018-2019. 44 billion shillings will be allocated for the project in 2019-2020, 43 billion shillings in 2020-2021, and 32.7 billion shillings in 2021-2022. Facts about the Kira Motors Corporation. KMC will start with 5,000 vehicles annually and grow its production capacity to 150,000 vehicles annually, which is its ultimate target. The East African community market is projected to increase to over 500,000 pieces per year. KMC intends to address the mobility needs of the target market with a variety of products such as buses, light and medium duty trucks for transportation of goods. KMC will also produce executive sedans such as the Kira EVs. The sedans will be for the niche market segment of high-profile persons seeking executive mobility, including car hiring services. Vehicles operating with internal combustion engines using diesel and petrol shall be produced at the Kira vehicle plant. These are some of the opportunities for Ugandans. The Kira EV motor assembly plant is expected to have an installed capacity of 5,000 vehicles annually at the start, and the number is expected to rise. The National Enterprise Corporation, NEC, shall employ 324 Ugandans for the execution of this project, with an estimated 180 workers from the UPDF and 144 others from the local community. As part of construction, NEC will need an estimated 840,000 tons of marram and gravel, 800,000 tons of sand, and 140,000 tons of hard core. It is estimated that NEC will need timber, structural and reinforcement steel, 52,000 iron sheets, chain link furniture, personal protective equipment, and plumbing materials, among others. Estimated to cost over 28 billion shillings, and the materials will be locally sourced.
That is it we had for you. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can get more news updates and other programs here on New Vision TV by visiting our website, which is newvision.co.ug/video. You can also follow us on social media. Facebook is The New Vision, Twitter is @NewVisionY, Instagram is @NewVisionY, and our YouTube channel is New Vision TV. Catch up with me on my Twitter handle. I am Ruth, the Voice. We end with a fact file.